I know what you're thinking. Your first look, how I look, it's not new to me. I'm used to being judged. What I have to share with you is very important. 44 years old, and I finally learned what my purpose is, what our purpose is, our reason that we're here. And it's taken my whole life until just not even an hour ago for me to realize the mistakes I've made in my life. And they matter. Everything matters. Every decision we make, whether you realize it or not. Now, I know that most of you don't have faith. And I know this because I didn't have faith. I had a horrible childhood. I never really got to be a child at all. I grew up with abuse, molestation, violence, alcoholism. I've been through judgment, persecution. I've been in prison. I've been to jail. I've sinned. I've committed crimes. I broke the law. I've lied. I've stolen. But you know what? I've always lived my life with one rule. I've always loved. And some people might think that love is not enough. But let me tell you something. Love has always been enough. I'm about to share with you some wisdom that was blessed upon me by higher powers for the reason to share with you. Now, if you watch this whole video, you truly have faith. And I hope that it forever changes you. And I hope that it spreads, like the COVID virus, but no, it's a love virus. We need it to spread to the entire world because we are at war. And it's a war between God and the devil, good versus evil, light versus dark. But let me tell you something. The outcome, it's already been decided. It's not about that. What it's about is what we decide, because we are important. We are here for a reason. And that reason is to decide. We need to decide if we have faith, and do we truly love, and do we hope, or do we hate, and do we continue to sin? Okay, do we continue to hold on to material things, carry greed about money, feeling that we don't have enough, or we don't look good enough. Okay, and there's reasons for that as well. Okay, because the devil is among us, and he walks this earth, and he has been here. Now, that's the story that I learned about the truth about the devil. How he came to be, who he was, what actually happened to him, what he went through, what happened when he was thrown out of heaven, what happened when he was sent to hell, what happened when he came back, why he's doing what he's doing now, and why the world is the way it is, and why we are all going through what we're going through. Now, I appreciate you guys for joining. Those of you that have found me. Yes, I've been judged. I have tattoos, but I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good man. I'm Jeremiah. It's biblical. And it's biblical for a reason. And I grew up thinking, my mother told me I was worthless, that I'd never amount to nothing. And I believed her. And I've carried that with me my entire life. And it's held me back. It's held me back from being who I could really be. But honestly, the biggest mistake I made was feeling that God had abandoned me. God never abandoned me. I only felt that way because I was corrupted. And I was corrupted by, you already know, because his power is very strong, but it's only as strong as you let it. There are simple guidelines, and there always were. And I never took the time to understand, to make myself better. I'm a father. I have 2 children. I've been with the same woman for the last almost 30 years. I've tried to live a good life, and I'm torn between feeling, probably like most of you do. I don't have anything. I don't have enough. I want more. But truthfully, the only thing I ever wanted was just a better life for me, a better life for my children. I've literally spent all day researching God and the devil and this spiritual warfare that's going on. Okay, we are in end times, and the end is near. It is happening, people, in this lifetime. Sadly, our children will never get to live their full lives. Please give me a minute. I want to start off by saying, when I was 8 years old, I thought about killing myself. And I felt this way because I felt that being dead was just so much better than being alive, because my life was horrible. My life was like a nightmare. I could go into details, but I don't want to. That's not important. What's important is the man I am today. Okay? Now, I've had visions, and I've had dreams, and I've seen signs, numbers, messages, everywhere, all the time. Now, this occurred after, it was some years ago, but it was one of the worst days of my life. And you know what I did? I prayed. I prayed to God. I prayed to God to allow me to understand these signs and symbols and everything that was shown to me, because I didn't understand. And I was aggravated because I didn't understand. And you know what he did? From that day forth, the signs, the symbols, the messages, they never stopped. I saw more and more everywhere I looked, everywhere. And let me tell you something. Anything that has the word love in it, that's God. There's a lot of God out there. A lot in our music, okay? Those musicians that perform songs, you think they do it for the money? Maybe. But honestly, if you listen with your heart and your soul, it's not the same as hearing it with your ears. It's a big difference. Because that is how I heard many things that shook my very being. And at times I felt like I was going crazy. And I had friends and family and people thought I was crazy. And I just like to say to you that I'm not crazy, and I'm about to explain it. I may not get it all in this video, but I will try to make another one, because I don't wish to take up too much of your time. But the message that I have for you is very important. So please, if you have the time, don't lend me your ears, lend me your hearts, and lend me your souls. And please feel with faith, love, and hope, because those 3 things is all we ever need. I'm going to start off by saying, as you well know, the devil exists. His name was Lucifer to begin with, which stood for the light bearer. He was the most beautiful angel in heaven, God's most trusted angel. He was perfect. So you may ask, how does a perfect angel become Satan? Well, I didn't know that until today. I never even really questioned that. I didn't care. But honestly, that's more important than you even know. Because you see, we're going to start off with the book of life and the lake of fire, which is the second death. But the book of life contains the names of all those that have the faith in the Lord, and that they will be saved. Every one, no matter what. If your name is in that book, you are saved. And God will take care of you. Now, if your name is not in that book, that means that you need to make some changes in your life. Not because I'm telling you to, but because you need to choose to make those changes. It's a choice. You see, when God created us, He created us out of free will. The free will to choose. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us unique. He created us in His own image and allowed us to choose to love, choose to believe. He left that up to us. And that, my friends, my brothers and sisters, is why we are very important in this war. We are the key. God is the answer, but we are the key. The devil was only just an obstacle, purposely put there. God knew, God knows everything. You may not believe it, but God has a plan. He always has. And the end was already decided. I'm not sure if you've read the Bible, but the truth is there. But here's where it gets tricky. You need to understand what's the truth and what's not the truth. Because what's not the truth is very close to the truth. And you need to really look deep within what is there to realize what is truly the truth. Now, the real change, it must come from within us, because every choice matters. Our choices have eternal consequences. Do you know Satan's name is mentioned in the Bible 47 times? Satan has a book of tricks. Now, he's used them since the beginning of time. He's always had them. It's his arsenal. That's his weapons. It's what he uses against us. And he's very good. Very good. His first trick, he questions the Word of God. He places doubt in our heads. You know, he makes us feel like, well, maybe we could do better, because that's how he felt. Now, his second trick, he attacks what matters most to us. Those that we love, you know, those that we really care about, friends, family, those important to us, okay? Because he knows that we have hearts and we love and we care because we're human. And he hopes that by doing that, that we'll stop trusting in God. His third, it was a wilderness test. And he tested Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ walked through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. And he was testing his love for God by twisting the truth to tempt us. By telling a truth so close to what seemed like the truth. And like I said, it's not the truth, but it almost seems like it. There is a difference. His fourth trick is he's the father of lies. He's the creator of lies. He's the king of lies. And he twists our reality into believing that what lies that he says is true. But believe me, they're not. Number 5, he uses his light bearer's disguise. Because honestly, if Satan looks scary, we'd run away. But if he looks good, we'd welcome him. And guess what? That's what the world did. Look around you. Look what people care about. Look at the world we live in. Look at what's on our television. Look at the shows that our children watch. I don't even want to talk about it because it disgusts me. Because it's funny how a world that was so different just in my time growing up, and it's changed so much since then. I was born in 1980. It's 2025. Do you know what's changed in those years? Everything. The world's turned from, we used to complete everything. We used to give it our all. Now the world thinks that half-ass is okay, and that's become the new normal. Oh, I can get by just barely doing what I need to. That wasn't my life, and that wasn't the world. I stay in my house every day because I get sick. I don't want to go outside into the world because honestly, I don't feel that I belong. And there's a reason for that. And you know what that reason is? I am a chosen one. I was chosen by God to spread the word to those in doubt, those in need, those with hate in their hearts. Those that deny, those with greed. Forget about your possessions. Forget about your money. Forget about your jobs. Forget about your security. Think about your soul. Think about your faith. Think about how you truly feel, because that, my friends, is what really matters. Now, Paul warns us about false teachers who seem to preach truth but actually lead people astray. You know what that means, my friends? That means that in the very churches that we think are holy, with the love of God, might actually not be. Actually are. Okay, that's where the truth comes in. You need to know God, and you need to know the Word of God and what it truly is and what it truly means. And then and only then can you distinguish the truth from what's a lie. Because the devil's also like a prowling lion. And Peter also warns to be alert and of sober mind. And Satan uses fear to confuse us. And he uses our past against us. He makes us feel bad. He makes us afraid. When we're in fear, we hesitate. We run. We don't face what we're up against. We flee because we're afraid. But what does God say? Fear not. Fear not, for I am always with you. The next one is global deception. The entire planet caught in lies, thinking that success makes us happy and that what we have is what defines us. The best way to fight lies isn't just knowing things. It's knowing God personally. Ancient rebellion. Satan thought he would be better than God, and he makes us think that we know better than God, that we're smarter than God, that we don't need God, because we can be our own gods. We can decide what's right or wrong without God's rule. We humble ourselves before the Lord, and he will lift us up. We must be humble. We must be true to ourselves and our faith and our belief. Not just say that we believe. God decided to create humanity in his own image. Well, when he did this, jealousy and pride crept into Lucifer's heart. This is where it all began, people. Pay attention, because this is vital. He felt he deserved more, and he was blinded by his own radiance, and his resentment towards God grew. He questioned God's authority, and the angels saw the change in him, And at that point, heaven was divided. The great deception. He uses his tricks to make other angels feel special. His influence grew, and the angels were forced to choose sides. Did you know that a third of all angels chose to fight with Satan? A third. And that's in heaven. That's where the strongest faith and they all had faith. It wasn't about a question. They were angels. Okay, the angels weren't humanity. Okay, we have the right to choose. They never did. Okay, they always had faith because they're in heaven with God. Now, yes, people, it helps to see things because then you know it's real. But you don't see God. You feel God right here because that's where he is. And at times when you feel you're alone and you can't see him, he's still there, but somebody else is too, blinding you to the truth, making you feel that you're alone. We're never alone. This is when the cosmic war begins in heaven. Okay, there's Lucifer's followers and Michael with God's followers. And there was a battle, but Lucifer was no match for God, and all those against him were cast from heaven. And this is when Lucifer became Satan, and his desire for revenge had a new target, mankind. This is where the fall from grace begins. Satan was forever changed, and he became the most truest form of evil, and he brought the first forms of sin upon the world. And so begins the events of the Garden of Eden. I'm sure you all know Adam and Eve. I'm sure you're wondering why God would allow this, and it's simple. He created us with free will and the ability to choose for ourselves. The battle for good and evil continues, only now humanity is caught in the middle of it all. So yes, are you starting to see the picture? Our real enemies were never other people, yet we still fought amongst ourselves, had wars with other countries, wars with ourselves. But actually, the spiritual forces working behind the scenes, our choices, actions, and faith all play an important role in this war. We're not passive observers. We're actually active participants. Satan's fate was sealed, and his defeat was already assured by God. In Revelations, it states of Lucifer's bound for 1,000 years, but he was also to be released after that period for one final rebellion. Inevitably, his fate cannot be altered. The question is, when the time comes to decide, what will you choose? Good or evil? That, my friends, is the reason for being, and it's what we do in these moments of darkness that will define who we really are. Because every choice we make today will echo for all eternity. Light over darkness and love over hate. Selflessness over selfishness. We are here for a reason. Faith, love, hope is all we ever needed. We are more important than we realize. It's Satan's influence upon us that makes us feel as if we aren't even worthy. But please remember this, my brothers and sisters.